Good afternoon. It's great to see you all again. It's been a while. It's been a while since we last spoke. So it's great to see you once again. These were weekly meetings. We've now moved them to monthly meetings, but a really exciting topic today. And I know that a lot of you are interested in, which is around AI, and particularly what's going on in that area. But before we go into that today, our usual drill, feel free to drop your name and where you are from in the chat if you're watching this live, or alternatively, if you're on catch up, feel free to put it in the comments down below wherever you are seeing this video. It will be great to hear from you. Quick reminder though, this is a recorded session. We are live, and let's all respect each other online. Feel free to come off mute if you want to chat, but if you don't get your energy that way and you prefer to type, then by all means put something in as an instant message. And again, if you are catching up later in the day, then feel free to put it into the comments below. As always, this is a safe learning zone. Technology moves so fast, and it would be naive of us to do anything else. So feel free to say whatever you want to say, ask the questions that you want to ask in the comments. But today's session, as the title suggests, is your AI under lock and key? But I thought what would be good to do, first of all, is just to go through and see how you use your AI. Do you use AI in your business today? So again, feel free to put something in the comments below. And if you are using it, what do you use? I'm just going to take a couple of seconds to breathe and give you a chance to do that. But in asking people this question, as we've been going around, and let's face it, this is a relatively new topic. It's only around about 18 months, 2 years now, with ChatGPT and all these things coming to the fore in the market. Artificial intelligence, or otherwise known as machine learning, has been around for decades. It's just got to a point where it's become very useful for people like you and I to basically use it for practical things, practical applications. So if you've managed to comment, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And what I thought would be useful to do is just go through some thinking around this. So yeah, we have asked people, and typically the answer that you get back is, oh yeah, we use AI, ChatGPT is great. And that's good. However, if you are not using the enterprise versions of this, and I picked out ChatGPT as one, but there are many. There's Perplexity, there's Copilot, there's all these things. We will be talking about Copilot here. We're a Microsoft partner, and you know me, I do like Microsoft applications. But if you're using ChatGPT, enterprise, the team, the API platforms, then there are some strong privacy and security guarantees by that, which is fantastic. That's what you want as a business. And it doesn't matter whether you're a one-person business or a 100,000 person business or bigger, the rules are the same. You need to be making sure that you are using the right versions of these tools, because if you're not, then there are risks. Because if you're using the free version of these tools, which many people will be, and not often to the knowledge of their IT colleagues. So sometimes this is what we might call shadow IT. People are using these tools. They might have bought them on their credit cards. They might just be using free stuff. And each time they do that, it does have an implication for a business, because the data that you put into these free versions can be used to improve the data models behind that. So, as an example, if you started to put letters and confidential information in there, and you're using it could be anything confidential in there, then that free model might just be absorbing the information which you put in, unless you've specifically said that you want to opt out in particular settings. So there's no guarantee of confidentiality for sensitive or proprietary data. So it's not suitable for personal data. And in Europe, we have the GDPR, unless it is anonymized. Now, there'll be similar frameworks all around the world for data privacy, and the maturity of those information privacy frameworks depend on which jurisdiction you're in. But the rules here are the same. We're talking about the fundamental basis of privacy of information. But if we're just reflecting on that GDPR Act, then and specifically how it's applied in the United Kingdom, you've got to avoid putting personal data into these tools unless you've done a data privacy impact assessment. You should be following best practice rules in your organization if you have other workers. So it's good to have an AI ethics policy, policies and procedures about how you should or shouldn't be using these tools in your business. Because should the worst happen, then you will need to fall back on those policies and procedures to make sure that people have followed the right rules of engagement that you set up essentially within your organizational culture. But that isn't to scare you. That's just how it is, right? And if we set the right boundaries and the right cultures, then artificial intelligence and these tools can be exceptionally useful. Now, they're also terrifying. I know that. I know people are terrified of AI and they think about all the bad things, because people like to think about bad things. But the reality is, you can achieve so much more by empowering people with these tools. And we all know that, you can go on there and you can write letters and you can do all that. We've started to use these things in our personal lives. So people know the benefits of them. They might be a bit cautious in terms of applying those benefits when it comes to their day jobs in business. Partly, they might be feeling vulnerable about the reduction in their tasks. And if there's a reduction in tasks, then people tend to have this mindset. They think, oh, my job's going to go. But the reality is that all jobs change over time. And the strongest approach is to guide yourself along with the change in those roles, supported by your employer. Now, if we think about this within the context of what Microsoft actually apply and do, they use Copilot. And what I'll say about Copilot is it's Microsoft's AI tool, right? But it is also using the ChatGPT language model, but it uses other language models as well. And when we talk about Copilot, we're actually talking about many different attributes of the tool. And at the basic level, what that looks like is often a chat facility, which is what we've seen. You go in there, you write a natural language prompt, and it produces something for you. And that's something text, pictures, tables, Excel spreadsheets, all sorts of things. Now, at this point, I'm going to jump to the Microsoft webpage, because what I want you to see is the information that Microsoft have put out there to enable you to ascertain your own readiness around this. First of all, this is the Copilot webpage. And as you can see, this is the link, Microsoft 365. We go into your favorite search engine, Ecosia or something like that, which is going to do positive impacts for the environment. Search up for Microsoft 365 Copilot, or take this link here and you will get to where we are today. This takes you through these three main steps of the journey. So first of all, meet Copilot, get yourself AI ready, and maximize the impact. And we're going to drill into some of those areas in this call, just to highlight the things. And you can log on and you can do this yourself and take a look at it in your own leisure. There are videos on here. You can see Copilot in action. And the important thing is with Copilot is, whilst we've got that entry-level sort of chat interface, and we can talk to Copilot, actually, we can actually physically talk to it as well with natural language and speech. Copilot is also embedded in a lot of the Microsoft tools, which many of us will be using on a day-to-day basis within our business. So, for example, in Teams, with Copilot enabled, it can summarize transcripts from calls. So I was speaking to a colleague of mine earlier, and we'd had a chat yesterday, and it went on for an hour. We said all sorts of things, we took a few notes, but we didn't have to worry because Copilot was recording the call, and we knew at the end of the call, it would summarize all of the key points and the actions from that meeting. And that's incredibly useful, from an IT consultancy point of view. Then frequently you would have someone else in a room as a scribe, and people might be charging you twice to have, two people in the room and one writing all the notes down. You don't really need that anymore, because with Teams and Copilot enabling it, it will do all that transcription for you. You just need to go over it at the end and obviously make sure that there's no factual inaccuracies and those sorts of things, and improve it. But to all intents and purposes, it's achieved a lot more for you with essentially less effort needed. So if you're purchasing those sorts of services, then it can reduce your costs, make your life easier, because you haven't got to be there writing minutes. And I haven't found anyone in my life that likes writing minutes. But it's a very important point around governance. If we think about it from Outlook, here you can use Copilot to summarize what your important emails are. You can use it to create emails. So there's lots of things here, just sort of moving on from an entry level, which you can start to use Copilot in your day-to-day roles. PowerPoint again, and there's some demos here you can click into. You can have Copilot generating slides for you. Now, they're not perfect, but it's going to do 70 to 80% of the work for you. Then that's already a leap for you in terms of the amount of effort. And depending on how you use these tools, you can obviously undertake more tasks. You can get more balance in your life by actually moving from a firefighting phase to, oh my goodness, I've got so many tasks to do, to actually getting through some of those tasks and feeling a lot more resolute and organized in your approach by having Copilot there helping you. If we scroll down, there's some really fascinating areas here. So if you're interested in particular applications, function in your organization, so maybe you're working in HR, customer service, sales, finance, you can see them all there. Let's go into finance. You can see exactly how Copilot might be able to help you out in your particular role. Here we can see the example it's given us is around creating a forecast for the next quarter. That will be using the Copilot components within Excel. For sales, let's prepare a proposition, a proposal, what that might look like, and using Copilot within Word. Same is true for legal. Now, there's some fascinating elements to this because obviously legal tends to be built around case law, and case law can be all online. Now, so when I started university, still in lots of books, it was these big tomes in the library, about three inches thick, and it all had case law, and I'd be go through that, and I'd be looking at like environmental law and all that sort of stuff, and you work out, what the precedent is around particular cases and particular terminology. Now, this doesn't obviously negate the need for professionals, but if you wanted to use Copilot to point at case law online, you could do that. Customer service. Now, it's probably a good idea at this point to talk about how Copilot actually forms part of some of Microsoft's enterprise applications as well. So Microsoft have a suite of business applications, which is labeled Dynamics, and Dynamics manages everything essentially within a business. So sales, finance, customer relationship management, customer service, HR, asset management, fleet management. There, it does everything basically, which you will need in your business. Now I say everything, does everything as standard. There's always little nuances in niche industries and specific things which you might need, but the flexibility is there to build out from it as well without any coding. But Microsoft are now layering Copilot into many of those products as well. So when we talk about this in the context of customer service or customer relationship management, although you like creating leads, it's there. It's basically saying, right, we've had a chat, and that should have been on email, it could have been on Teams, and then it's automatically storing the notes of that prospect or lead in a CRM system, and it's using its artificial intelligence to prompt you and say when you might want to follow things up. And it's also drawing in lots of other information to give you a fuller picture as to how you can more precisely provide your solutions and services to those people which you are trying to help. So that is really fascinating. You'll see here as well that we've got different types of industries on the top. And the same is true for that as well. So you can drill into these areas. You might be looking at healthcare or retail, financial services, all of those sorts of things. It gives you some really interesting case studies there to go into things. On the case studies front, you can see how some of these larger organizations are already using Copilot. So it's fascinating in terms of stories to go through. But if we scroll back up to the top of this page, where we started off, that's all well and good, but where do you get started? Where do you get started on all this? Well, you will want to get AI ready. Now, this looks different for different organizations, and quite honestly, it depends on your appetite for change um, and risk, because you could start really small and that works really well. Maybe a few people getting a license, seeing how this works in their day-to-day role, reporting back, um, spreading the love in terms of what they've learned and how um, their application of Copilot has helped them out in their day-to-day lives, and sharing those stories. That can be a really powerful way of moving forwards. Um, but equally, just going back to what we were saying at the start of this call around safety, around risk, information governance, there are a number of technical pieces which you can set up in the background, and we'll show you a couple of things on the next slides. But essentially, when we talk about readiness, you have got two paths. You've got the people readiness and you've got your technical readiness as well. But the nice thing about this particular page is that we have some guidance here. So there's a playbook around how you can plan, as it says, plan your rollout. Copilot is unlike any new technology that's come before it, and leaders need to take a deliberate approach to embrace, deploy, and adopt it. Here we go. Free materials from Microsoft. Use this overview to roll out the adoption and find out what works for you. You can drill into all of these areas and start to see what that might look like. And Microsoft got the tools in the background that you can actually monitor the engagement and the uptake of these tools, and to see whether or not it's actually having a positive impact within your organization. And there's all sorts of stuff in here around adoption, resources, stories from other people as to how they've used this and applied this in their organizations to little tips and tricks. There are promptathons, those sorts of activities which get undertaken in the communities. And there's a lot of rich and free information available at your fingertips here from this website. If we just scroll along the top, though, there's a few more. Click on the playbook. Let's see what we've got here. So there we go. We can actually download the guide. It takes us through different steps and sequences in terms of your phasing for rollout. So that can help you from a project management point of view. Hey, you could even use Copilot to come up with a plan for how you roll Copilot. It is that flexible. But the magic is always in the prompting and the natural language that you use to produce your results and positive impacts in this. We take that one step back now, just to where we were. And click on the maximize impact. Now, this is key, and we'll go into a couple of bits of this in a second, but we do want to make sure that people are using it. We have set the right cultural standards. We've set the right policies and procedures in place. We've made a safe environment for people to explore and not run the risk of losing data or it falling into the hands of amorphous language models with free AI that is out there. So we've safeguarded our organizational data. And it's important to communicate that to people. So lots and lots of fascinating things here. And this continues to evolve almost on a monthly basis now. And we've talked about the embedding of Copilot within business applications. Talked about how we can start off from that chat level of just prompting. But what we've also got here with Copilot as well is the ability to create Copilot agents. And with a Copilot agent, we can supercharge some of those stories. And one of the great applications that I've used an agent for in the last couple of months was essentially, we do a lot of tenders, and each tender is different. There's a different spreadsheet, a different template. And when you do a number of these, you start to think, well, actually, I've kind of answered these questions already. And perhaps if I was able to not have to go into each file each time and take that information and cut and paste it into another one, it might save me a bit of time. It would certainly make my life a little bit more fun if I didn't have to do that. Well, with a Copilot agent, created one, and it was around about the requirements of a bunch of reporting requirements, and we're thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we try to condense all those requirements in one place? We created an agent. We said, please create an agent which goes and looks at the SharePoint library and all of the different files in it and collates all of these requirements. And 5 minutes later, it had gone through and it had created a list of all of those requirements for us. So it saved hours of work. Another great example, when we're talking about the Power Platform with Microsoft. So there's always something a little bit incongruent around this for me, because the Power Platform says, oh, it's a low code, no code solution. But the reality is, at the start of this journey, yeah, that was true, but you could only get so far, and then you need to get a little bit of technical skill. And then you'd have to pay the consultancy, and the cheap thing that you thought that you're going to get a lot of value from wasn't cheap at all. It's turned into some exercise which actually you didn't really want to turn into, because you just wanted a solution. You wanted that Power Platform solution which is going to make your life easier. There doesn't need to be long development cycles around this anymore. You don't need lots and lots and lots of consultancy around it, because with Copilot, you can ask these natural language questions, and you can say, Copilot, go and build me a Power Automate which will produce letter X, Y, or Z for process 1, 2, and 3. And off it will go, and it will ascertain what the data model is. It will come up with the user stories. It will come up with an app if you need an app, and it will do all that for you in a matter of minutes. So something that might have taken days to produce now takes minutes to produce. So this is a very strong position for organizations to be in, particularly if you don't want to be paying people lots and lots of money in order to do these things for you. I encourage you to find the right partners that will enable and empower you to use those tools yourself and guide you through the process. So some fascinating areas there around how you might be able to apply these things, and just looking out with my own HR hat of interest on. I'm really excited about the recruitment functionality that's coming, where we can suddenly take CVs in a folder. We all know what a nightmare this is, and having to do that initial sift and initial scoring. You can now start to use some of those features to enable you in that. Now, there's a right way of doing it. It's not all tech, and I'll come on to that right at the end slide. But whilst this is a big people change process, and you want to think about how you diligently apply change in an organization, you do need to be thinking about the ways that you might have to safeguard this information too. And what you have in the background, and this is typically an IT function role, there's a number of different tools. This is just a screen grab from one of them, to make sure that you have the right data security posture all set up. Have you gone through the elements of technical setup in order to fortify your data security. Now, again, this doesn't have to be a huge thing. There are different levels to go through here, and I would encourage you to find the right advice from people. But equally, you know, this interface, and Microsoft are really good at doing this nowadays. If you might explore it yourself, there's lots of self-guided help in here. So again, those large projects that you might have needed with partners and everything else, you can truly be empowered and enabled yourself to do this. But I would suggest that it's best practice to have a right partner in order to guide you through it and make sure that you're covering off things in an appropriate manner. And the nice thing about this then is when you start to use these tools. So this window over here on the left is from the basic chat window, the Copilot chat window. And when we see that little green shield, it means we don't have to worry, because things have been set up in a particular way that we can put information in there. We've got our policies and procedures in place from our good colleagues in the people department. And we know that we don't have to worry about the privacy of data in the same way. We can use this in a psychologically safe way to get true value from it without risking our reputation, our client's reputation, our workers' reputation, or our prospects' reputation. And that, well, makes me very happy. And certainly makes me sleep well at night. And I would hope that it makes you happy too. Now, we are getting near the end of our call today, but I just want to make sure that people really understand this. Because remember that this isn't just a tech thing, right? It's not just a tech thing. It is largely a people thing. And if you don't provide the right structure and culture, then, well, uptake is going to be low, people won't be empowered, and gains won't be made. However, if you think about this from a change perspective, and if you do it right, the uptake will be high, people will be empowered, and gains will be made. But you can switch the buttons on with any old technology, as we all know, and do people use it? Not necessarily, because if you haven't supported the implementation of any technology with a proper change and people-centered approach, then you will not achieve success. You'll just sit there and people in IT go, oh yeah, I've done that. Yeah, tick a box, made that live. Well, you can make something live or you can bring it to life. And the two are different. And I would encourage you, whatever project you're on, not just Copilot, that make sure that people are always at the center of your success criteria. That's it for today. So thank you very much for your time watching. We always like to provide you with some gifts on these calls. We would very much love it if you would join us in trying to make the world a better place. You can use this QR code here to gain your free positive impact token, which will enable you to donate to one of these 4 fantastic projects to make the world a better place. We at Lightrise do put people and planet above profit. We are a business for good, and we have our B Corp application in, and we're going through the process. If you don't know what a B Corp is, they are an international community of other businesses that are trying to make the planet a better place too, with strong transparency, governance, and international standards. I encourage you to check them out. And more importantly, let's turn these ideas into action. So whether you're seeking clarity, strategy, support from a people or technology point of view, I'm here to help. We at Lightrise are here to help. And you can reach out today to explore how we can move your goals forward together. You can drop me an email at gj@Lightrise Consulting. You can book a call. There's the bit.ly link. It'll take you through to a Calendly link, or alternatively, if you take your phone out and scan that QR code in that is on the screen, that will also take you to our booking engine. Alternatively, I love chatting to people. Reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. You can connect with me there. But if you want to make sure that we're approaching this together, it's probably best to use the QR code or the book a call, and then we can plan your next breakthrough, which always starts with a conversation. So let's have a chat. And whilst you're having a chat, we'll even plant a tree for you too. I'd like to thank you all for watching today. I'm very grateful for spending time with you. As always, it's been a pleasure. And I'll just put that one up there for one final go in case you didn't get it there. Please take your phones out, get that QR code, and make an impact on one of those amazing projects for us today. Once again, thank you very much. And I look forwards to speaking to you all very soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.